Hey again. Just thought I'd do another video. Just woke up, had a shower. Mr. Perfect. It's an old mental health shirt I got. The mental health mate. This guy got them made up when I went up to Sydney. I joined this group, and it's just a catch-up group for men, really. A social group for men who've been through some kind of distress or trauma. So sort of helps the healing process. Long time ago now, but anyway. Yeah, I was just thinking more about that Star Wars stuff, Darth Vader, and how really the name Darth Vader is a bit derogatory. I know it probably sounds cool. It's almost saying that this kind of religious Jedi is a daft prick, really. Darth Vader. Whereas it should be Dark Vader, which is someone fearless of space. That's what a Dark Vader is. Fearless of space, to go out in the darkness and the endless abyss of. Because when you get out in space, where there's no atmosphere, you can't really see the stars. You just see emptiness everywhere, I think, as far as I know. And so there's not much light really out there if you've got no atmosphere. So because light tends to have to refract through some kind of gas or other matter for you to see it. If there's nothing there, you won't see anything. It's almost like it'll hit your face, but you don't see any sort of refraction or reflection to see the light. So that's just my understanding of deep space. In probably space around near the moon and out there's probably a bit of dust and a bit of debris, and you can probably see some stuff. But I think deep space you can't really see much, so it's kind of terrifying. Whereas a Dark Vader wouldn't feel that fear, I don't think it's right for people just to own these sort of phrases or words and copyright them, like Star Wars or Darth Vader, or they didn't invent these words, And just because you put a couple of English words together doesn't mean you should own the rights to them, Maybe if you come up with Clash Malglin or something, come up with some new words, then you can own those, I suppose. You've made them up if they don't exist. But if you're just coming up with two words like Star Wars, that could denote movie star fighting, or it could denote, interplanetary galaxies colliding, or where stars are at war. Or just because you say Star Wars doesn't mean you particularly, you've made a catchy phrase, sort of putting the two words together. But I'm sure it existed before Star Wars. It's two very common words put together, which I don't think anyone has the right to just say, I own those words. If someone else wants to call their thing a Star Wars, well, it's a generic sort of term for anything. Anything that's associated with stars and wars. So same with the Dark Vader. It's actually a thing, a real thing. So it's someone not afraid of an abyss. So even Skywalker, those two words, Sky and Walker, are common words. Why does someone think they own those? Because they put them together, and I'm sure the other things are Skywalkers, like some kind of contraption that walks across the sky. Like, can they call that a Skywalker? Because you've come up with some phrase in putting two common words together in a movie. I don't think they have the right to copyright or patent these sort of words or own them or anything. Because they didn't invent the words, they're invented by people like me, come up with these words initially. Like, war is a word that I come up with as is Mars, God Mars, a long time ago. So I actually probably own that word war myself. So I don't patent it, and anyone can use that for anything. It's just a word that's come up with so long ago. It's irrelevant who come up with the word, and it can mean anything really. A war, it can even mean just like it comes from all sorts of words: wardrobe. It even relates to water. That's why people get confused about water and water. They don't want to drink water. They think they're going to be in warfare when they're already at peace. You know, they think water's bad. They think they hear water and they think, oh no, war. You know, that used to be a way of torturing people with water. It was a warfare technique, water torture, and so yeah, the way words come out of the world, they're all invented by someone. Wood doesn't really come from the word of what this is. This is actually timber. So wood is really just the forest, wood. You know, it's kind of like a hood. A hood is sort of a suburban sort of place in a, you know, you hang out in. Or wood is similar. It's somewhere you go and hide in, or to wood, I think, is to hide, to sort of hide away. So, sort of what animals do, they wood. So, but you know, over time we don't say timber, we say, "Oh, cut some wood," you know. But no one can paint that wood, you know. No one can say that's my word, wood, and you can't use that again, you know. Even with something like woodwork, you know, you can't say, oh, I put that in my movie, The Woodworkers, so you can't ever use woodwork again, you know. What if a shop wants to call it Evans Woodwork Clinic or Evans Woodwork Shed or something, you know? Am I allowed to use woodwork or Skywalker or Darth Vader or, you know, just food for thought. These numbnuts that think they own all these sort of words and phrases, and somehow they invented them because they thought of them at some point. You know, thoughts come from the world you're living in, and unless you've actually conjured up a new word no one's heard of before, or related to you know, Skywalker could be called a shrish marker or something, or shrish markla. Well, it's hard without doing the whole word, isn't it? Putting that in there, but there's probably millions of words you can come up with and own patent and say these are our words, and they'll be catchy. You just got to put a bit of thought into it, you know, not just say, "Oh, Sky and Walker are my words. I come up with those." Or no one else can be a Skywalker because, you know, no one else would walk in the sky, but my movie, you know. Oh, that's it. Yeah, oh, it's ridiculous to say that. So anyway, over now, Dark Vader. It's just black cement because you're in space so long, you know. It protects you from the universe. So his body would be inside that rement. He would probably come inside that like a casing and hide away. The helmet and this would just be a comlink, really, to talk, you know, via technology. So, you know, this whole story about him getting burned alive and then losing his limbs, and it's pretty tragic. It's like the whole, hey, let's recreate Romeo and Juliet so the two lovers of the world can never meet, you know? It's like, let's create Darth Vader as a dumb dimwit, a Darth Vader instead of a Dark Vader, you know, and let's put him in space and all this stuff, and he blows up planets, and, you know. I know it's fiction. You can do what you like. I don't care. I'm a filmmaker at heart, but when you take it personal and people, you know, put out their own views of what their religion is as well, you know, that they belong to that kind of religion of space travel, even Star Trek. How can you say that someone can't use Star Trek again? Trekking. People trek everywhere. People look at the stars all night. They belong to them. The trekking is something they do, you know, that these people that come up with the movie did not invent those two words, you know. Go and invent your own, you know. Before you copyright them all and patent them and say they're mine, you know. Even McDonald's is ridiculous, you know. They're suing people because you can't use the word McDonald's. It's such a common name. There's probably 1 billion people called McDonald's and they can't use it in their business. There's one burger joint. Why don't they call it McDonald's Burgers or something and come up with a word for McDonald's and burgers? You know, patent the word burger, call it a clamp or something. A bungthith. McDonald's bungthith. Friend, succotash. All right, peace out, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Teskafra. I made that word up, see? Or am I the devil backmasking?